Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Gomez and welcome to my channel. This week we're going to talk about student loan. There's a lot to it, so I'll be covering this over a series. Today, I'm going to take you down my student loan journey and tell you the huge mistakes that I've made and the lessons that I've learned from those so you can apply them in your situation and make better choices than I did. First of all, when I graduated high school, I was able to attend college for free. Since I lived with my mom, I was under her W-2s. She didn't make a lot of money, so that qualified me. If you're in that situation, make sure you look into the financial aid program. Take advantage of them because they're there for us to use them. My huge mistake came about 2 years later when I decided at the time to get married. So I no longer qualified for free financial aid because I was now under my husband at the time's W-2. That threshold's pretty low. So if you're gonna make a change and you're still attending college, whether it's getting a raise, a promotion, getting married, look at the effects of your finances and your financial aid because it may be worth it to delay those things for a year or a couple years while you finish school. If you're in a situation where you're getting free school, there's no need to mess that up for you because you could end up having to pay a lot later. Since I didn't qualify anymore, I had to take out a student loan to finish my degree. So I took out $25,000 to finish my last 2 years of school. When I graduated college, I got a job making $10 an hour. So I really didn't feel like I could make my payments. They were $450 per month. So what I did was I deferred my loans, and I'll talk more about that in the next video because there's a good way to do this and a bad way. I went about it the bad way and I learned from it, but I deferred my loans for 2 years. Then I went to an income-based repayment plan. This is a good alternative if you're just feeling crushed by student loans. You can send them your paychecks and they'll do the calculations to give you a lower payment. So I went from $450 to I think $180 at the time. And that made it much more manageable for me to pay my loans back. If you have the government student loans like Sallie Mae, call them because they'll work with you, whether it's deferring or income-based repayments. That's an option for you. Fast forward a bit, I got my credit report and I saw that I owed 104% of my original loan balance. I'm like, what the heck? How did that even happen? I didn't understand. I had to do some digging and I realized that interest from the deferment that I did for 2 years had tacked on to my loan and now was embedded into the principal and created this this imbalance of like I owe more than I even borrowed. That hurts your credit. So don't do that. But that's what I did, and that caused me a big decline in my credit because my credit wasn't really bad before that. At this point, I realized I needed to start paying attention to my student loan and doing something about it because it was now hurting my financial life. So I did some digging into my loan to start to tackle this situation, and I realized I was paying between 6 to 8% on my loan. I assumed since I was under government loans that those were going to be low interest rates because why wouldn't they? It's our government, they're so nice. But no, it was bad because we were in a really low rate environment and I'm paying almost 8% on a lot of my loans. At this point, I had $37,000 in debt when I had only borrowed $25,000. So that grew and it just escalated quickly. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to handle this. That's when I really started to pour my resources into it, pay attention to it, and learn all of this stuff. I learned how to refinance my loan. I went to the site called Credible. It's one of those where they work with a bunch of lenders and they'll do, like, you enter your information and they do a soft pull and they give you the top people and all the pros and cons, and it's a good idea to apply for 3 because you might not get approved. So I found this really awesome one that for every loan they refinance, they'll pay for a child in needs education. So I'm like, yes, this is perfect. I applied, I got rejected. And I was like, oh no, I thought I had already worked on my credit and got it back up, and I was like, what the heck? So that caused me to do some more research, and I found out that I did have good credit at that time, enough to qualify. I had the income to qualify, but what happened was I overdrafted my bank account a couple of times. This happened because I was very aggressive with my savings, and I would immediately, like I've said in my prior videos, like move money over as soon as I get paid, I move it into my savings account, and I would, from time to time, would forget that a bill was going through. So sometimes that would cause me to have an overdraft, and apparently these lenders look at those things. Be careful with that, because I was sad that I didn't qualify with them. I was able to qualify at Citizens Bank, and I got about 3.5%, and it was an adjustable rate, so that's a risk to be aware of, but I was okay with it because I had a plan to pay off my loans quickly. I got those refinanced, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to get really aggressive with these. This was just 2 years ago. I was driving my 1999 car. I had he's my husband now, but my boyfriend at the time move in with me because I lived in a small house. So I was like, if we live together for the first year of living together in this small place, we each pay $450 per month and we can stack some cash. So I was all about that because I know a lot of people have financial problems in their marriage and in their relationship. So I was like, we have to start this out solid. So he moved in and we only paid $450 each, which allowed us both to save up some money. And for me, that really helped me in paying down my debts. I did a combination of increasing my income and decreasing my expenses. If you need help with this, take a look at my prior videos. I did make a video on upping your income so that you can allocate more money towards your debt. And I followed every single one of those steps. That's why I made that video. But that really helped me to get my income to a place where I could put away a bunch of money towards my debt. I made the decision, because I was starting a business, to, instead of putting that money directly to my student loan, I was gonna save it up and then make the decision if I wanted to pay it all off or keep the money invested so I have it on hand. What worked for me was opening up a brokerage account. I created a diversified, aggressive portfolio, aware of the risks. I know not everyone would suggest doing this, but I was comfortable enough to just go ahead and try it and take the risk. Every couple weeks when I get my paycheck, I put it into that portfolio, and the money was just growing for close to 2 years as I was doing this. Then I got to the point where I had enough to pay it off. So I had the $35,000 saved up and it was invested. It's been growing over the 2 years also. Then I was able to run the numbers. I saw that since my interest rate was low, the market was doing well. I was spending less in interest and making more in the market. So I thought, my money's working for me. And then it's there as a backup cushion if I need to draw from it to help fund my business. So instead of having to take a loan from the bank in the future, I do have that cushion that I could use. Even though it's earmarked for my student loan, it's there just in case I need it. So I wouldn't recommend that to everybody because there is risk associated. The market could go down 40% tomorrow and then I'll have to resave up that money. I feel comfortable with the market cycles and know that that money will come back. And in the meantime, I've lowered my interest rate, I've lowered my payments, and everyone has to make their own decisions. And I want to show you the pros and cons of what I did, and hopefully you can learn from that and come up with a solid plan to tackle your student loans, because I know it's a nightmare and we don't want to drag them out forever because we just want to pay them off and use our money towards our lifestyle. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay in the loop. Let me know in the comments below if you have any specific questions. Have an attitude of gratitude when it comes to your loans because they paid for your college. Whether you worked in the field or not with your degree, you did have that education and you do have something that no one can take from you. Every month when you're making that payment, just to have a little bit of gratitude that you're able to do that. Having gratitude, it just brings us peace and joy in our life and less stress. It calms everything down. So take a second to think about that. Bye.